Hello, YouTubers. So hi, it's Trent here, and so you're lucky enough to own a Ferrari 430, and you're driving it, and you start to smell fuel. You park it in your garage, you start to smell fuel. So this is a common failure on not only Ferraris but other uh, automobiles that use a plastic-topped fuel pump. So let's take a look what we can do about it. So the first thing you need to do is get to the fuel pump. So you'll want to put your convertible top halfway up like this, and the pump will hold it up for a little while, and the pump will shut off and it'll fall upon itself and could do damage. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that it's propped up. So what we're going to do here is look, we've got a brace here holding the top of the clamshell, and we've got a bungee cord bungeeing this part to this part. So when the pump de-energizes itself, it will not collapse. Next thing you're going to want to do is grab a drill or whatnot, and we'll be taking 5 of these screws out of the covers to the 2 fuel. Now this car has 2 gas tanks, so it has a gas tank on the port and the starboard side, and it's right here. And what we're going to want to do is we take these 5 screws out, and then we'll pull this cover off. And this is your fuel pump. Now, this is the output. This is a vent. Input is somewhere around there. I don't see it. Anyway, you can see there's standing fuel here. It's very easy to see, and so we need to fix that. So how we're going to be attempting to fix that today is using some epoxy. And so I just stopped by our local auto parts store, and I grabbed number 1. I grabbed a plastic epoxy. So the plastic epoxy is going to be good. It does withstand fuel, and it sticks to plastic very well. A regular epoxy is not going to stick to the plastic walls. So it's not going to stick plastic to plastic very well. And then I'm going to do a second thing, I believe. I'm going to use sort of an RTV type material, which is a gasket maker. This is good for our fuel, and I'm going to put this on top of it. So I'm going to, whatever I use the plastic epoxy on, I'm going to put some of this on top. So let me just lay out these 2 things real quick. This is nice. All right, the next thing we're going to do is start the car and get the fuel pump running just for a minute. Don't get the engine too hot. We don't want to fire. So here we go. The sweet sound. Now we're going to look here. Sorry if this light's a little too bright. It looks like the fuel is coming up out of the center here, and then it's accumulating around the edges. So what we need to do, it's hard to get that in good lighting. Let's see if we can get this. So it's flowing down the sides, and it's accumulating around here. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill this top with the plastic on plastic RTV. We're going to clean it up first, fill it with the epoxy, and then we're going to put some RTV over the top of it. Okay, this seems to be low pressure, so it should hold just fine. It's a low pressure leak, and we have to clean this fuel up around the edges. All right, next we're gonna clean up with the area with some 91% alcohol. We're gonna roll up a paper towel like this, dip it, and we're gonna clean in these vents really good. We need to get this plastic as free of gasoline as possible. And as you can see, I've already cleaned up the excess fuel around here, and I've cleaned it up pretty good. Almost good enough to apply the epoxy. But we are going to let it dry completely. As you can see, that still sort of looks wet. Gas still comes up out of here for a while after you turn the car off. So you should probably turn the car off for about an hour or so before you clean up, because you can see I've got one spot here that still needs to be cleaned up because the fuel has risen above that height. All right, so I mixed up the epoxy and put it in there. I just sort of dripped it in there and filled up to the top. Didn't want to make it over the top because I'm going to put some RTV, some fuel-safe RTV around it. And I only did one side, the other side looked fine. One quick note on the bottom where you see where it's black around the ring there, the other one is not. Let me show you the other one. The other one that didn't fail yet looks like this. It looks like it's still intact. So maybe it's that plastic that fails, I don't know. All right, so now we've taken the gasket material and we've just sort of dripped it in a circle like this. And look how pretty that looks. Looks almost OEM. So that's the extra layer in case the epoxy somehow fails. And I was able to put it directly on the epoxy before it's completely cured, because epoxy thermally cures, where this has a solvent which has to evaporate. So this is the outer layer, not the inner layer. It would never cure. Anyway, that's it. And I'm going to put it back together, and I'll probably let it sit overnight and check it tomorrow. But that's pretty much going to do it for the F430 fuel pump repair.